Good morning children, welcome to NEET AIPMT Foundation Biology online classes. We have completed the lesson plant breeding and crop improvement. So, in today's session we are going to discuss about some of the questions and the bits which are repeated from this chapter in various competitive exams. Okay. So, before going to assessment, let us recall the key concepts. What is plant breeding, children? Plant breeding is the genetic improvement of crops in order to create desired varieties of plant types that are better suited for cultivation, that give better yields and that are resistant to diseases, isn't it? The main steps we have studied various methods of plant breeding and crop improvement, isn't it? The development of several high yielding varieties of wheat and rice in the mid 1960s. So, this is a result of the various plant breeding techniques led to dramatic increase in the food production in our country. So, that phase 1960s, it is considered as a green revolution. Who is father of green revolution, children? MS Swaminathan. So, it is possible to induce the mutations also artificially through use of chemicals or radiations, and selecting and using of the plants that have the desirable characters as a source in the breeding. This process is called mutation breeding. Okay. And the breeding of the crops with high levels of vitamins and minerals or high proteins and healthier fats, it is called as a biofortification. The plant breeding is undertaken for improved nutritional quality of the plants with the objectives of improvement in protein content and quality, oil content and quality, vitamin content and micronutrient and mineral content, isn't it? The plant tissue culture is a technique of maintaining and growing the plant cells, tissues or organs aseptically under controlled conditions on artificial medium in suitable containers under the controlled environmental conditions in vitro. Okay. So, nowadays sustainable agriculture, the technique, sustainable practices for farming to increase the food production without damaging our environment and comprising the ability of our future generations to meet their own needs. Okay. So, green revolution, sustainable agriculture, organic farming, okay, these all can be done, isn't it? So, this sustainable development or agriculture involves agricultural practices involves crop variety improvement, crop production improvement, crop protection management. Okay. These are all interconnected. So, what are the characteristics for which the crop variety improvement is being done means it is a higher yield. It is referred to the output or the crop produced per unit area of land under cultivation. Okay, higher yield. In order to achieve this higher yield, the farmer has to select the improved varieties of a crop. Then improved quality. What is improved quality? This signifies the quality of the crop produce obtained. Okay. It varies from crop to crop. Okay. Next, biotic and abiotic resistance. These are certain biotic factors. There are certain biotic factors like pests, insects, diseases, and abiotic factors like drought, salinity, waterlogging, heat, cold and frost that are adversely affect the plant growth. The farmer has to prefer to grow such crops that have the ability to withstand and survive the stresses caused by biotic and abiotic factors. Okay. So that he can get the crop production, improve the crop production. Next, change in maturity durations. Plants take specific time period for their growth after their sowing. The shorter the duration of maturity, the more desirable is the variety for the farmer, isn't it? As it allows the farmer to grow multiple rounds of crops and reduce the production cost. Okay. Next, wider adaptability. Wider adaptability refers to the adjustment by the crops to a broad range of changes in the surroundings. So, this allows the farmer to grow the multiple rounds of crops that can survive and withstand great variations in environmental conditions. This in turn helps the farmers to grow a variety of crops in different climatic conditions. Okay. So, plant breeding and crop improvement. So, these are very important. Desirable agronomic characters are there. So, the word agronomic refers to the management of land for crop production. Agro field and nomic means agronomic. Nomic means law. Hence, the farmers select the crops with specific traits to increase food production, to increase their productivity. The traits may vary from crop to crop. Okay, crop to crop. It may be the vegetable crops, it may be the horticulture crops, fruits. Okay, some preferences will be there like tallness, dwarfness, some desirable traits in the cereal crops. For example, a dwarf crop, it is a desirable cereal, as a dwarf plants are smaller than normal plants, they require fewer nutrients for their growth, and hence more nutrients can be made available for the grains to produce a better harvest, and they can able to even sustain the floods. Okay, okay children, let us proceed to the assessment, the NEET Olympiad level previous contest questions. Question number 1, which of the following allows crossbreed plants to create superior offsprings? Heredity, heterosis, homozygous dominant genes, homozygous recessive genes. Okay, heterosis. What is heterosis? Heterosis means the superiority of the offsprings over its parents is called as a heterosis. So, this heterosis allows the crossbreed plants to create a superior offsprings. Which of the following terms best describes a collection of many techniques currently used to genetically improve plants? Agricultural biotechnology, micropropagation, genetic engineering, conventional genetics. It is a agricultural biotechnology, A. Okay, it is the best describes a collection of many techniques, biotechnology currently used to genetically improve the plants. Okay, what is crop improvement? Crop improvement is nothing but genetical improvement of the crop is called crop improvement. Dash describes the observable characteristics of an organism: phenotype, genotype, heredity, pollination. Observable means which are external, phenotype, physical. Okay, A. The genetic makeup of an individual is called phenotype, genotype, heredity, pollination. The genetic makeup means genotype. B. When an organism has two copies of the same allele for a gene, it is called a heterozygous genotype, homozygous genotype, alien, Santa Claus. It is a homozygous genotype represented by N. Okay. The traits that are controlled by multiple genes are called qualitative traits, quantitative traits, complicated traits, none of the above. It is a quantitative traits. Which of the following is an example of a quantitative trait? Flower color, seed yield, crop yield, pod shape, stem length. It is a seed yield or crop yield. Example of a quantitative trait. Trait means characteristic. Which of the following creates new plants from tissue or organs of the parent plant? Asexual reproduction, sexual reproduction, vegetative propagation, induced propagation. Which one? Induced propagation. Okay, like mutation breeding, they come under induced propagation. Tissue culture, it is also an induced propagation. Dash produces the offsprings which is genetically identical to the parent plant. Asexual reproduction, sexual reproduction, vegetative propagation, induced propagation. It is asexual reproduction where like Xerox copies, the offsprings which are produced genetically identical to their parent, especially the plants, that is through asexual reproduction. A. The farmer has bred his pineapple plants from the sweetest pineapples from his latest from the last harvest to get even sweeter pineapple plants. Okay, sweetest plants and more sweeter plants. What is this? Is an example. Okay, selective breeding means what technique is involved, what crop improvement method is involved. Okay, breeding method is involved. Selective breeding, natural selection, extinction, mutagenesis. It is a selective breeding. A. The organisms within a population have genetic differences in their traits called genotypes, variation, natural selection, heterozygous. It is the variation, genetic differences. Variation is nothing but the differences. The genetic term used for showing these traits differences, that is variation. Okay. Genetics is the study of inheritance and variations. Okay, where humans have bred the organisms together based on traits, we like evolution, natural selection, extinction, artificial selection. It is a artificial selection. Okay, is the oldest method. The overall function of selective breeding is to create organisms with desirable traits, create bigger organisms, create smaller organisms, create animals with more genetic mutations. Overall function of selective breeding. What is the overall function? To create organisms with desirable traits. This is the main objective of selective breeding. Okay. A. Where the better adapted organisms survive to pass traits along to offspring. Evolution, natural selection, extinction, artificial selection. It is natural selection, survival of the fittest, the phenomenon of Darwin. Okay, natural selection. The better adapted organisms will survive to pass the traits along the offspring. Survival of the fittest, natural selection. A method of breeding most commonly used when the desired variation is required. The desired variation is required to be induced in a vegetatively propagated crop is polyploidy, pedigree method of breeding, mutation breeding, back cross method of breeding. It is a polyploidy. Okay, generally diploid condition is there. The polyploid means more than 2 sets of chromosomes present in the individual, then that condition is called polyploidy. So, this is the breeding method, mostly commonly used when the desired variations of required to induced in a vegetatively propagated crops. Acclimatization is, means what is the meaning of the term acclimatization? A process of adjustment by the crop plants to environment. Acclimatization related with the clay, or it is nothing but the removal of female parts of a flower. The term related to changing in the climatical condition. Okay, it is the first one. The process of adjustment of the crop plants to environment is called acclimatization. An individual having different alleles, means characteristics for any genes, for any gene pair, and producing two kinds of gametes is known as hemizygous, homozygous, heterozygous, heterogeneous. What is the term indicating? It is heterozygous. Heterozygous. See, an organism with the extra chromosomes 2n plus 1 is, instead of the normal diploid 2n, is known as monoploid, monosomic, trisomic, tetrasomic. It is a trisomic condition. 2n plus 1. Okay. The bread wheat is haploid, diploid, tetraploid, auto, allo, polyploid. It is a auto, allo, polyploid wheat, bread wheat example. Emasculation is the removal of male parts from a bisexual flower, removal of female parts, removal of female male parts, none of the above. It is the removal of male parts from a bisexual flowers is called emasculation. Okay, generally this is the method involved in the hybridization technique. It is one of the step to prevent the self fertilization. What is germplasm means? Germplasm, a breeding method, a collection of genetic material, and new disease, or none of these. The collection of genetic material in the form of seeds or the material germplasm. Okay. In mass selection, the plants are selected on the basis of phenotypes, genotypes, homozygosity, none of the above. It is the phenotypes based on the physical characteristic. The plants with good qualities, desired qualities, we will select. What is pure line is? The progeny of the selfed heterozygous plant, progeny of selfed homozygous plant, progeny of vegetatively propagated plant, the progeny of nucleus seed. Which one? The progeny of selfed homozygous plants called pure line. The pure line selection is, once again, another way of defining a method of accumulating favorable alleles, use it to improve the cross pollinated crops, use it to improve the self pollinated crops, use it in vegetatively propagated crops. Pure line selection, it is used to improve cross pollinated crops. Okay. Quarantine is the term, the name of a plant, the name of a character, the process of observation of alien material, none of the above. Okay. It is the process of observation of alien material, quarantine, before introduced a new variety. Okay. Recurrent selection is mostly used in cross pollinated crops, self pollinated crops, vegetative propagated crops, apomictic crop plants. Cross pollinated crops, this recurrent selection is mostly used. The important character of cobra is presence of hood, small scales on the head, rounded tail, presence of hood. Okay. Selfing of plant increases heterozygosity, homozygosity, homogeneity, heterogeneity, selfing, self pollination. Okay, it increases the homozygosity. Okay, homozygosity means capital T means tallness, small t, dwarfness, like that. Okay. The plant breeding has close relationships with genetics, cytology, biometry, embryology. It is a close relationship with the genetics. Genetic improvement of crop is called plant breeding. Okay. Pioneer worker in the plant tissue culture is Shipragruha and Satish Maheshwari, Stewart, Habertland, Swaminathan. Who? So, this totipotency phenomenon was introduced by this Habertland tissue culture. So, plant tissue culture, he was popular. Okay. Shipragruha and Satish Maheshwari, embryo culture they developed. Okay. First successful pollen culture. First successful pollen culture, that is haploid plants, was done by Guha and Maheshwari, Swaminathan, B.P. Pal and H.Y. Mohan Ram. It is embryo culture. Shipragruha and Satish Maheshwari to produce haploid plants, unisexual plants. Desired improved varieties of economically useful crops are raised by migration, biofertilizer, hybridization, natural selection. Which one, children? Desired improved varieties of economically useful crops can be raised by which one? Hybridization or natural selection, biofertilizers, migration. It is the hybridization. Okay. Selective breeding is a technique that is used to produce offspring with certain desirable traits, produce organisms from extinct species, give all organisms a chance to reproduce, keep farm crops free of all mutations. Which one? Produce offspring with certain desirable traits. Which process is a common practice that has been used by farmers for hundreds of years to develop new plant and animal varieties? Cloning, genetic engineering, cutting DNA and removing segments, selective breeding for desirable traits. Which one? It is the process is a common practice. Which process? Selective breeding for desirable traits is a common practice that has been used by farmers for hundreds of years to develop new plant and animal varieties. Selective breeding. Okay. A plant breeder waits to develop a disease resistant variety. What should he do first? Hybridization, mutation, selection, production of crop. Selection. First he has to select, okay, with all desired qualities. Horticulture is the study that includes fruits, vegetables and flowers, all food crops, vegetable gardens and lawns near hotels, only some bush crops and apples. Horticulture, it is the study of especially fruit yielding, flower yielding and vegetable crops. Okay. In hybridization, this is not a part of the technique used. transfer pollen, collect pollen, emasculate, use of two plants to bridge the stems together. Which one? Use the two plants to bridge the stems together. Hybridization. This is not the part of technique. Okay, transfer pollen grain, collect pollen, emasculate, these are all the parts of hybridization except this last one. Okay. The plant breeding is a technique of improving agricultural crops, fodder crops, fruit varieties, vegetable crops. Which crops? This is a multi-correct answer. Plant breeding is a technique of improving agricultural crops, then fodder crops, fruit variety crops, vegetable variety crops. Okay. Apart from high yield, the other main objective of plant breeding is improvement of quality, development of, okay, it is also multi-correct answer, yes, improvement of quality, development of resistance, okay, establishment of change in duration, crop duration, that is, okay, early maturing varieties, yes, this is also A, B, C, D, okay. So, these are some of the questions, children, from this chapter as assessment 1, another assessment 2 is also there. Okay. Thank you for watching our video. Have a nice day.